Oh boy, I cannot believe I have done this 399 times. It's just crazy. I can't believe we are the highest rated online entertainment business news show. It's just, it blows my mind that this is one of the most popular shows on the internet. Like, we're even outpacing TikTok. Yeah, an entire social media platform. It's wild. 399. I got to figure out what to do for 400. What, Ron? Ron, my unseen producer? What are you talking about? This is 400 right now, and this is the cold open? You gotta be friggin' kidding me. I, I, I'm sitting here just writing the script for 399 like it's 1999. Well, that's it. I failed. 400 is not as special as 300 was. 300 had a musical. 400's got this. Yeah. It's news time. Delivering to you the news you didn't know about, the news you didn't care about, and the news you didn't know you cared about. With host, Chad White. Now, here's that host, Chad White. $400 is the total amount of views I have for this show. You good? Everybody good? Let's do it. Welcome back to News Time. I'm your host, Chad White, and this is the news to film news that you didn't know about. On this, the day of the 400th episode, I thought it best not to celebrate with an episode dedicated to the number 400, mostly because I hate that number. It's 100 more than the number of those naked Spartans, 100 less than half 1,000, and 400 episodes more than I ever wanted to do. Now we're here. Yay! I'm getting back to the roots of news time with a fully scripted episode, and God knows how long. You're welcome, baby. Now imagine this. Your favorite news outlet wants to expand outside of the news game with a new media-based project, a TV show, a movie, whatever they see fit. It's a phenomenon that's been going on for years now. The media can't solely rely on a single income source anymore. What millennials refer to as hustle, companies are getting into too. Look at the Washington Post. The Jeff Bezos owned outlet recently set up a deal with Ron Howard and Brian Grazer's Imagine Entertainment. It's a first look for scripted and non-scripted shows and movies made up of whatever's interesting in the archives. Stories about dubious murder or intriguing political tales, or that time Jared Kushner and Ivanka Trump made the Secret Service rent a house for its agents to poop in because they didn't want the people protecting them inside of their home. It's true. Look it up. The possibilities are endless. We already have multiple takes on Watergate. What's a couple dozen more? Tech news site The Verge has been on the same path for some time. The company recently unveiled 2 hot new sets of episodes for their Netflix show, The Future Of, which apparently took them 3 years to make. That's a pretty big endeavor for a site like them, and I give them kudos. Will I watch the show? Maybe one episode or two, then give it a rest. It is a Netflix series after all. The Future Of is a series covering how science and tech and everything surrounding them change over time. I really like the trailer because the colors are pretty and I'm basically a genius, so it's perfect for me. Sticking with Netflix, Vox's Explained series has been around for about the same amount of time as The Verge's. Again, it's a similar concept. A news site, this time one that covers everything from politics and culture to tech and foreign affairs, releases a show with the idea to teach the viewer about what's going on in the world. It's not all topical, but it's relatable. Uh, I messed up that sentence, but I'm not going to edit that part out. Of all the shows I'll talk about today, Explained is easily one of the most popular. I'd venture to say it is, given how widely the show is available. Not only is it the biggest streaming platform in the world, which itself is available to get around the world, but it's also on YouTube for free. You can't beat free. Quite possibly my favorite out of all of these has to be what the New York Times is doing. By favorite, I mean the one I've seen the most of. The old gray lady teamed up with Disney's FX and Hulu in order to produce the New York Times Presents, which is a showcase of documentaries looking into the biggest topics. You see how these all just kind of blend in together? Every single one of these episodes, we talk about big things into 30 minutes. The premise works where the execution partially faltered. When it launched in 2020, the idea was to, as they put it, bring viewers close to the essential stories of our time. The first episode was right on the money with a look at the newly world-ravaging coronavirus pandemic. Remember that? Remember when we thought all of us were gonna die? Look at us now, all slowly dying. There was even going to be an episode covering the death of Breonna Taylor by the hands of those very bad police officers. The problem of the series came with a few inconveniences, but here are my main gripes. It was too sporadic in its monthly or bi-monthly airing schedule, much like this show, and it often had a misguided focus on the reporter. The latter issue stems from the show that came before it called The Weekly. That one was the first modern show the New York Times did. The premise there was to be a video version of the popular podcast, The Daily, both covering that week or that day's respective top story. An easy concept for an audio medium, but hard to pull off on TV. The Weekly came about in 2019 with about 30 episodes of essential reporting from writers around the globe. Episodes came in batches, although topics were very topical, evergreen if you will. You do? Well, thank you. However, I don't think the show is popular enough to warrant more episodes, hence the move to Presents. Take into account the strain of a weekly show on a media outlet that's not used to doing consistent high quality on the silver screen, and you'll end up right where we are now. The Times, WAPO, Vox, and The Verge may all be trying to do the same thing, which is to educate their audiences, but they all came after the progenitor that is Vice. And yes, I did have to look up progenitor before I wrote it in the script, and yes, I did misspell it not once but twice. Goes to show what you know, you dork. Vice began its self-titled show on HBO in 2013. It introduced a brand new way of news storytelling for a younger generation. It was a mixture of features like 60 Minutes and News of the Time a la nightly news with a hint of weed, more like a stench. The show was canceled unceremoniously, both words I misspelled, yes, that last word too, after some of the best journalism, 2 final supersized seasons, and a nightly spinoff of a companion series. You heard that right. They put out an entirely different show that did everything the weekly show did, but on a 4-day-a-week basis. Showtime would eventually pick up the docuseries after Vice tried to run its own network, which it currently still is doing, technically, albeit worse than where it should be. Vice succeeded even as it failed. The final product of all of its shows helped usher in the rest of these news outlets to the TV space. Each one of these projects has one thing in common, even if their execution differs: visual journalism. There's failure here, yes, but I like these shows for what they're trying to do. It's hard to make someone interested in a topic they aren't interested in yet, and yet should be. Ultimately, that's what News Time is. Every episode isn't the greatest, to take these last few months for example. However, we're trying to bring out details and topics you either didn't know about or care about with a hint of funny. Just a hint. I hope I succeed even just a little. News Time is hard and a slog, but it's also fun and an excuse to do something every single week, mostly. I thank this stupid show for giving me 400 reasons to get in front of the camera, and I'll thank it again after 400 more. This is not a drink. Listen, if you like News Time and you want to see the other 399 episodes, subscribe and check out one of our other videos. Of course, you can head to the website, cpluscomedy.com, where there are interviews with your favorite comedians, as well as some other stuff. Even emails, too. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at cpluscomedy. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram at ChadBlackWhite. Like us on Facebook. Listen to the Constitutionals contest, yeah. And now it's time to film the cold open, because I do that at the end if I don't have a good idea.